backyard of 607 West Wisconsin Avenue for James Perryman, manager of the Solicitor Properties LLC.
I'll move that we approve ordinance 2024-04 as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Hebblethwaite?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Burris?
Yes.
Curtis?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Grayson?
Yes. Item 6C, discussion, consideration, of possible action to authorize the purchase of a new 2024 Ram 3500 for Parks and Recreation Department under state contract SW035 from John Vance Fleet Services in the amount not to exceed $63,586.
I move to waive the competitive bid process and authorize the purchase of a new 2024 Ram 3500 for Parks and Recreation Department under state contract SW035 from John Vance Fleet Services in an amount not to exceed $63,500.86.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion? Now, I know that state contract is usually the cheapest, but did we go to any of our local vendors and see if they can match it, or?
I just went to the state contract. There's a couple different options for state contracts, and I went to a couple of them, and this was the best fit that I found. I know in town, I mean, as far as like dealers, they'd sell them to you too, but then we'd have to do a competitive bid process,
Yep.
which is
I don't think any of our local
long
dealerships have a fleet service.
monotonous road.
No, and traditionally in the past, they haven't been able to beat the state contract either. I just wanted to ask for asking.
Sure, sure.
Any other discussion? Thank you, Spencer.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mayor.
Yep. Did I hear something? No. Roll call, please.
Smith?
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Burris?
Yes.
Curtis?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Hebblethwaite?
Yes.
Grayson?
Yes. Item 6D, discussion, consideration, of possible action to approve the contract for municipal judge services with attorney Mike Chaffin.
Make a motion that we approve a contract for municipal judge services for attorney Mike Chaffin. Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Alexander?
Yes.
Burris?
Yes.
Curtis?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Hebblethwaite?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Grayson?
Yes. Item 6E, discussion, consideration, of possible action to authorize staff to solicit RFQs for COC-2404 Chickasha Flood Mitigation Initiative.
Mayor, I'd move that we not move forward with this. We lay it aside for further study,
You want to table it?
please.
Does that require a vote? Okay, so it's going to require a motion and a second and then a vote.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion.
Do we have a motion, or do we just?
I think Charlie made a motion to table it. Nobody seconds it?
There's no second.
It would fall from
Motion
that.
to move on.
Okay, well, can I entertain another motion? Okay, I would entertain a different motion.
I'll make a motion that we authorize the staff to solicit RFQs for CMA 2403 Chickasha Flood Mitigation Initiative.
Second.
Motion and second, now discussion.
Exactly what areas is this initiative going to cover?
We've had a drainage study done in 2020 that would allow us to remove the north and the east side of Chickasha, as well as downtown, out of the flood zone if we were able to execute the engineered design that was proposed during the drainage engineering design. A BRIC grant is authorized one time for a municipality. It's a federal grant, and currently we're encouraged to seek a BRIC grant. I am the representative for emergency management here in the city of Chickasha. I've worked with state emergency managers, and during our last conference, we have been asked to go out and see what we can do about eliminating the floods in our cities and municipalities. One of the avenues was to try to get a brick grant. It is a long, hard process. The goal here is to hire a contracting firm that has experience in applying for a brick grant and then achieving the goal of being awarded the brick grant. And that is exactly what we're trying to do here with this.
So is this to do the study on what we can do to abate it, or what?
So the study has already been performed.
That's what I'm
This
saying.
is-
We've done
this
that
is to
about 4 times.
contract an associate that can follow through with the application for the brick grant, have a notice of intent submitted by November of this year, and then have a grant application submitted by February 1, 2025, with an award summer 2025. The grant it's a pretty in-depth process. We would want a team that is experienced with that. We have SRB, we have MESHAC, a couple different associates here in Oklahoma that have successfully achieved this goal. It is a grant that can range anywhere between 9 million, 15 million, whatever it takes to make sure that we are eliminating the major problem here, which is the flooding. And it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we think that right now is the good chance to go after it and get it. There has been some discussion about funding for it, and I think that we're just in a really good spot to maybe have that happen and prevent us from having these floods every once in a while here downtown and on the most vulnerable areas of Chickasha.
So this firm is gonna take that study that was done and turn it into an actual plan with design?
They will execute it from A to Z. So they will be the ones that will go out, re-engineer the design, submit the application for the brick. Once it's awarded, which we have a high chance of it being awarded, they will execute the construction of it and subcontractors all the way till the end, make sure that everything that's required by FEMA is submitted. And my job during that process is to see it along the way from the beginning to the end as well. There are some little formalities that we may work with county on, but for the most part, this is a city project, and I think something that we can very much need and can execute.
This isn't duplicating work the study's already done, that's taking the study's information and applying it to a.
It's taking what we found 2015, 2019, and 2020, just over the years, and then most recently, we've had our basement flooded, kind of triggered it a little bit, speaking with the state, saying, hey, we need to do something about this, and then they've received some money. 22 states have gotten over $1 billion in this last year from a brick grant, and we're not one of them. So we would like to join that pot of money and kind of give the citizens a better area to ride around in during rainy days.
So what it sounds like, instead of spending money on studies, we're actually doing something actionable that will
Absolutely.
result in
Yes, sir.
progress.
That's the goal.
But we don't have is there a set company that we're looking at to do this? Because this just says request for a quote,
So there are companies that we have our eyes on, but obviously we want to be fair and give everyone the opportunity to give us the best bid. There are many there are companies that are able to execute this brick grant, this application. But currently we don't want to say this company or a specific name because we want everyone in the room to have a fair choice, if that makes sense, a fair opportunity.
Yeah.
But we do have some people that we know have a high success rate, and we've spoken with them. They understand that this may come down the pipeline, and they're ready to give their proposals on what they could do to help Chickasha.
So basically, we're just advertising that we're looking for somebody for a quote on what they would charge to apply for the grant, do the engineering as far as what needs to be cleaned out, or the construction costs for this project, and that's.
Yes, and the other part of that is anything that comes up front, any cost associated with it up front is also redeemable on the back end. When we apply for the grant, we will receive those funds back in return. So that's not saying that it's guaranteed we get the funds if we don't get the grant, but the minimal cost that we have up front, we can receive back in the end once the grant is applied for.
And tonight it's just soliciting for bids, it's not accepting anything, so it'll come
Yeah.
back before us to actually
Absolutely.
spend any
Yeah.
dollars.
There is the timeline. I don't know if you all have had the opportunity to really dig deep, but we are on a crunch time because we have to have a notice of intent submitted by 1 November. We also need to give that firm time to put the application in before February 1st, which usually it takes about 6 months to 8 months to create a good quality product. With the previous study, the master drainage plan already in place, that helps them a lot. And speaking with a few of the different firms on timelines, if this is even executable, they all have agreed that this is something that they could get done as long as we can try not to bump the timeline too far ahead, if that makes sense.
Well, this packet says that the submission for notice of intent is actually July 23rd.
For us. Not
So as
for,
long-
not for the brick grant.
'Kay.
The notice of intent for here at City
Okay,
Council.
so we're still within and we'll hit
Absolutely,
these
yes, ma'am.
deadlines as laid out? Okay, perfect.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, as John was alluding to, it sounds like instead of studying, we're finally ready to execute.
Yes, sir.
Any more discussion?
Questions?
Yes.
Is staff aware of the climate justice portion of this matter and the economic justice portion of this matter, as we're asking them to do for us if this were to pass? We'd look for a provider that has the Climate and Economic Justice Screening Tool, or the CEJST. And I thought the topic here is flooding, and flooding in Chickasha, which people tell us was founded in about 1892. So apparently FEMA was founded by President Carter in about 1979. So there'd been a lot of years that maybe the federal government wasn't needed in life and survival in Chickasha, Oklahoma. And I believe a lot of these items relate to something that I misspoke of in my first meeting here, Mayor, when you corrected me and I was saying the word federal tentacles, and you go, oh, strings attached, is that what you mean? And I go, yes, sir. That's what I mean. So these items, to myself personally and many citizens, are troubling, and that's my largest concern right now.
And I understand that, Charlie, but thank goodness today it's just authorizing out to bid. We're not taking any action, so we'll have another chance to look at the actual rider before we hire anybody.
I think under application services number 4, we're asking them to do these things for us. And I don't think we should spend $1 for economic justice and climate justice reasons and package it under flooding or flood mitigation here in our community. And it's also a study that we have that council, if you were here on council in year 2020, you may have seen that study, but there's a lot of new faces up here and citizens that have not seen this study that was concluded in year 2020.
Keith, you have some clarification? Yeah.
Certainly, anytime we're asking FEMA or the federal government to participate in a project, there are going to be some strings attached that are probably beyond the political scope of a city council. Because of that, those federal regulations that, for whatever reason, have included those economic or social justice issues, those are some of the strings that are just normally attached to these things. And we don't have the ability to negotiate those things out of a federal grant typically. It's kind of an all or nothing proposal. And I recognize that not everybody's going to agree with some of the objectives of the federal government when it comes to these things, but the scope of flood mitigation in the city of Chickasha, we believe as a staff that it's really beyond the city's capability to address alone. That because the federal government regulates rivers and railroads and so many other things that impact flood mitigation in the city, we need the partnership and frankly the financial assistance of the federal government, and that's going to come with some of those strings that we may or may not like, but the ability of us to address this alone as a city without the federal government's participation is probably just kicking this can further down the road. So that's our, I understand your concerns, and they're legitimate, but like I said, they're largely political concerns that, as a staff, we can't really address.
And like you said, Keith, without federal dollars, we'll never be able to get these, any of these projects done to the scope we need them.
Right. There's so many bigger influences on this. It's impacted by which political party is in control in Congress and in the White House. The whole administrative structure of the federal government. Those are issues that are beyond the city council or the city staff's ability to.
I think we also have to look at it as federal dollars. There are dollars.
They are.
I mean, we pay taxes, so it's our money.
We just don't want to drown when it rains. That's all we want, you know?
Do we have a definition for a Justice 40 community? Like what does that entail?
Guys, real quick, I think it's important to recognize the fact that we have citizens who call asking to do remodels on homes, different things, and we had one call today that they have to raise their home 3 feet before they can remodel their home. By potentially getting this grant, we take them out of a flood zone and they don't have to raise their home 3 feet. They got to raise it the size of the desk in front of us. Like, this has an impact much greater than just flood mitigation. This has an impact on every single citizen in Chickasha, every business owner in Chickasha. This is the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to potentially fix our problem.
And lower our insurance rates.
Right.
Well, and another thing too, I believe in 2020, prior to me being on council, I was in these chambers when one of the large presentations was done about flood mitigation, and one of the complaints that I heard in the audience was, here we go again, we just need to act on this. So here's an opportunity to act on it. We've had the studies done multiple times. It's time to move forward and try to get something fixed. Just, it's like Keith said, we'd be just kicking the can down the road. Like for decades, they kicked the can down the road on the water treatment plant. So we need to move forward and help our citizens.
Do we have a definition for the Justice 40 community of what that would entail?
I don't have that here in front of me, but it's a question that we could get some background information,
Okay.
get an intelligent response for you.
I'm sorry, Brian, what
So
was your?
there is, the BRIC grant does fall under the justice screening. They use that program to determine whether or not you're eligible for the grant. You do have to pass their screening. And it aligns with Justice 40 initiative, aims to ensure 40% of the benefits do go towards disadvantage in your community. This grant is specifically guided for communities at disadvantage from natural disasters. The north side and the east side, I haven't lived in Chickasha my whole life, but I do know they're highly impacted by flood zones. I think that they'll fall right in line with what we're trying to do here today if we were able to have them come in and speak. But I do think that there's the overall goal here has a larger impact than just raising the bar of a home or preventing a vehicle from being flooded out while traveling to work. I think that this is a huge opportunity for residents and the city of Chickasha as a whole.
And I'd like to remind everybody, we're just saying go out for bid. We're not locking ourselves into anything
Right.
on this vote.
Let me, if I may, Mayor, there is some information from the White House on the Justice 40 initiative, and I'll just read from that webpage. It says that 40% of the overall benefits of certain federal climate, clean energy, affordable and sustainable housing and other investments flow to disadvantaged communities that are marginalized by underinvestment and overburdened by pollution. So that's the goal of the program.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion done. Anybody else?
I have a last question.
Yes, sir.
In our application, we've listed in the second paragraph, Chickasha has a history of flooding Second sentence says, recent flood events have underscored the need for proactive flood mitigation measures. And my question is, would somebody from staff describe for me, in reverse chronological order, what were those events and when were they?
Charlie, I think these are the type of questions that we need to give staff a warning that they're gonna ask, is I don't think we can expect them to regurgitate that information off the top of their heads.
Just as the council should have time to consider things too, Mr. Mayor, and that's what I asked for initially.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, if you would have sent these questions to them, they would have your response right now when you're asking it, if they had prep time to know what you were gonna ask.
Okay.
Is what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
feel like council has all the background that's needed here.
Well, I'd say that a month ago, when we had all of those rains, Iowa, in front of, between the library and Stanley's, there was a canoe. And that was, you know, a day and a half of rain. So, I mean, just, there hasn't been catastrophic downtown flooding in some years. But I mean,
We're due.
you know, I'm in my early 40s. I'm in my early 40s, and I can think of several
I
that
can-
have, like, cost just the downtown businesses hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, again, but just recently, just a month ago, there was a canoe on Iowa and 6th Street.
So the conversation was brought up specifically over the month ago. This building itself had flooded out. I was looking to see if there was any grants that may be available to us to try to help with the building. And then speaking with Oklahoma's emergency management team and their grant team, they had discussed that we have a history of having flood issues here in Chickasha, that we had previously over the years had a mitigation plan, an engineered design done, studies done here, and that we had not executed on any of those studies, and that this was a prime opportunity for Chickasha to actually be able to receive some funding that would help eliminate some of the issues that we have here in Chickasha. So that was the original recent events. But there are many recent events, and if you would like, this week I'll put something together and have it sent over to you, where we'll describe where Chickasha and areas surrounding Chickasha have had issues with flooding, and as well as residents and business owners in this area.
I'd appreciate that if you'd get it together and send it to Susan.
also performed multiple water rescues a month ago, or 6 weeks ago, whenever it was, that we had the heavy rains. So we had multiple water rescues, I believe 4 to be exact, on that day. So there is still flooding taking place. I believe it was Oscar and Mr. Nelson who said, we're due. We are absolutely due.
Well, along with that, it's not just water levels as much as it is pressure levels on Line Creek, causing a backfill into the old sewer system. That caused that sinkhole in front of Severe's Funeral Home back several years ago. I mean, it's because of Line Creek and the way it handles water. So,
Roll call, please.
Burris,
No.
Gertis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Smith,
yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. Item 6F, discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve Resolution 2024-18R, a resolution of the mayor and the city council to the city of Chickasha, Grady County, state of Oklahoma, adopting a Grady County hazard mitigation plan for the years 2024-2029.
Move that we approve Resolution 2024-18R as presented.
Second.
Discussion?
Did I miss that in our packet? Did we see the Grady County matter presented to council? The one that we would align with?
I believe it's the resolution right there.
Not the resolution, but I think it speaks somewhere of a hazard mitigation plan
Yes, sir.
that was adopted by Grady County that we have a
So-
relationship with, is that right?
Yes, sir. Our hazard mitigation plan, we fall under Grady County's hazard mitigation plan. It has been outdated for 2.5 years now, which means that we are unable to receive any state grants or funds without having an approved hazard mitigation plan. Currently, the Chickasha Public Schools has been working, they have a bond out for $9 million that expires November 2025. They have been approved, tentatively approved for a $2 million bond to provide safe rooms for Grand, and then potentially a $2 million bond to provide a safe room for Lincoln in 2025. Both of these grants cannot be approved due to a hazard mitigation plan that is not approved yet, or that has not been successfully completed by Grady County. We fall under that grant, and in order for them to submit it to FEMA, everyone in their jurisdiction has to adopt, or if they're going to use the hazard mitigation plan that they've created, has to adopt their hazard mitigation plan before it's submitted to FEMA. We're one of many municipalities and school districts that are going to be adopting their hazard mitigation plan so that we can move forward with funding.
So if we didn't adopt this plan, they wouldn't be able to spend any of those funds in our area? Is that?
Yes, sir. We wouldn't be able, we would receive 0 grants and 0 state funding, or federal.
And Grady County wouldn't receive any for their jurisdiction within our municipality, right?
Exactly. Yes, sir.
No other school,
Schools-
but not just Chickasha, but any school in Grady
all
County
Grady
wouldn't
County
receive
schools,
any.
all Grady County schools are utilizing this hazard mitigation plan.
Right.
The same one that we're talking about tonight?
Yes, sir. And I had the opportunity to work hand in hand for the last 30 days to work through this hazard mitigation plan. So it was a bare bones. It was 300 and something pages long. Now we got it down to 118 pages. We were able to work with a state agency, state rep that came down and spent time with myself and Dale Thompson, over the emergency manager for Grady County, and we were able to walk through A through Z every single portion of the hazard mitigation plan so that we could have this ready for submission.
I think Charlie's hangup is we personally have not seen the hazard mitigation plan that we're approving. Correct,
I
Charlie?
believe that's what he said.
I haven't.
Yeah.
I may have overlooked it.
So the hazard mitigation plan, we are not designing the hazard mitigation plan. It is a Grady County hazard mitigation plan. We are able to put our inputs into the hazard mitigation plan, which is what our projects for the flood. We have the school safe rooms in there, and a few other projects that have been on the books. We've adopted the hazard mitigation plan from Grady County previous years. We didn't contract out to have our own hazard mitigation plan. As Chickasha's municipality, we've kind of fallen under Grady County's for, I would say, for many years. I don't know exactly how long, but I'm guessing for many years.
Would other long-term staff know? Hasn't Chickasha had its own plan before? I thought
I don't think so.
when I spent some time on the planning commission, that duplicated into a Chickasha plan.
I'm not aware.
Not that I'm aware of. Speaking with Dale Thompson, we've been under his hazard mitigation plan for a while.
Okay, and I do have a question for staff. Help me understand what parts of the plan for what to do in these type of problems, what would expire?
Every 5 years, well, every 3.5 for us, because this will not happen again. But every 5 years, every municipality and county is required to submit a brand new hazard mitigation plan with updates for stakeholders, maybe some of the projects that have been worked on or requested to be worked on in previous hazard mitigations have been completed, or new projects want to be added. Before we can request any funds from FEMA or a state grant, they have to be in your hazard mitigation plan. Kind of like this flood mitigation proposal that we have here, that has to be in the hazard mitigation plan in order for you to even be considered for a grant. So each time that those projects are completed, the hazard mitigation plan needs to be updated. It is easier to make an amendment to the hazard mitigation plan than it is to try to create a whole new one. So typically what we do is at the 3.5-year mark, we try to submit what we have, updated the version that we want to submit, and then we make amendments to it as it go. Grady County had an issue where they contracted out a firm and they did not meet the deadline, and then their employees left. And so since their employees no longer worked, they were unable to complete the contract, and being that it was under contract, they couldn't abort the contract and find someone else. So they've been in limbo for about 2.5 years. They basically had to bite the bullet and start from scratch, and that's when we volunteered to help. And so we've been over there working with Grady County and a state representative to create a hazard mitigation plan from scratch and create some contingency plans for the future. I submitted a proposal to our state representatives for Oklahoma Emergency Management that we would be kind of guided in the future so this doesn't happen. We are not the only municipality that fell under the same problem with the contracted associate. There's about 7 municipalities in Oklahoma that are dealing with the exact same problem that Grady County was dealing with, and that is having an expired hazard mitigation plan and not being able to receive any funding from the state or FEMA due to that reason.
So nothing really expired as far as infrastructure or emergency services
Anything that
or
has to,
thought process. Our lowlands are still our lowlands. Our vulnerabilities of high traffic are the same. And it seems like that's just the thought of Washington guiding Chickasha through those tentacles or strings that we want to call it to do something. And I cannot vote for anything that we've not been presented exactly what we're related to as far as that Grady County plan.
so without an approved hazard mitigation plan, if we had a natural disaster, our options are limited. We may be able to we have relationships, we have MOAs with communities, but to actually get state money, state funds, state-backed agencies to come in and support Chickasha and its residents, without an approved hazard mitigation plan, it's going to be very difficult. And so this kind of gives us the opportunity to access funds in an emergency situation, and also shows them that we've prepared diligently prior to those emergencies happening, and here's our outline plan that we have with our hazard mitigation plan. And each 5 years, we are updating it with the new rules, new laws that we've learned, and we've put those in play so that the key stakeholders are aware of what they need to do in the event of a tornado, in the event of a landslide, in the event of a flooding, or whatever other hazards are addressed in our hazard mitigation plan.
Is this submitted to the state or the federal
It
level?
is submitted to the state.
So not the feds, the state?
No, sir, just the state.
Just out of curiosity, is it just natural disasters or is it?
So
Pandemics or-
we deal with natural disasters. We also deal with man-made disasters. So if we were to have a derailed train, we have hazmat issues. We have access to, Chickasha has a fully suited hazmat vehicle over at their location that we wouldn't have received if we weren't a part of, weren't a part of the OEM process, which is Oklahoma Emergency Management Process. And so there's a lot more benefits than just natural disasters. It's pretty much any disaster that we may experience.
It allows us to put in for programs too, such as when I built my house in 2018, we had a FEMA grant for putting in safe rooms.
Exactly.
And this allows you to do that.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Without this in place, citizens wouldn't be able to do that?
No, sir. You are not able to.
I know the school was hoping to receive some FEMA funding for some additional, to make the bond money go a little farther at Lincoln. So this would be something that's holding that up.
So this is the reason we're even doing this is because of Lincoln and Grand.
Right.
There's
Several things at Lincoln that were.
The reason we expedited the process was mainly Lincoln and Grand. We have time really to get this done, but we don't have time to get it done.
Because of their deadlines with the
Because of
bond.
their deadline for their bond.
Okay.
So that is what pushed us to have to work longer hours to get this done in July, so that we have time to get it submitted to FEMA, approved, so that Grand can be taken care of, and then Lincoln can be taken care of next. But yes. And anything that needs to be added to the hazard mitigation plan in the future is a very simple process. We submit what we want, send it in an email, and they add it to the hazard mitigation plan for us.
We have a motion and a second, right?
Sir.
Roll call, please.
Curtis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Ebblethwaite,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Burris,
No.
Grayson.
Yes. Mr. Perez, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good job.
For your information and being ready to answer all the questions thrown out there. And Chief Tony, thank you for chiming in as well with you. I mean, you got firsthand experience with it, so thank you. Item 6G, discussion, consideration, of possible action to allow the Christian Center to run their 31st Annual Junior High All-Star Cross Country Championships event at the sports complex and waive all fees associated with the use of the sports complex.
I move we allow the Christian Center to run their 31st Annual Junior High All-Star Cross Country Championship event at the sports complex and waive all fees associated with the use of the sports complex.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion.
What would the fees be that we're waiving?
Just the field usage fees, correct, Spencer? Which are, I'm sure that's your next question, right? How much,
I
Charlie?
was curious about what is it we're actually waiving?
Right, and so really with this event, we've got a field use, we charge fees more on like the ball fields, the football fields, soccer, like painting lines, soccer fields kind of things. So really, this just makes it cleaner cut, I guess, that it's, you're right, there's not a specific fee per se to rent the whole ballpark to run a race around it, I guess I would say. But this just kind of just makes it so you approve of it happening out there for free. So
It's giving us use of Thursday and Friday night when nothing else is scheduled, and it brings people to town to spend money in restaurants and hotels.
there's some
Right, would that say
there's some theories
2,400
about that if you
people?
want to talk about. I can go all day about. So
It doesn't affect the actual usage of the ball fields, right? Or does it?
no, they run around the outside of the perimeter,
Okay, so we just got
and
caught up in
it's during the day. They'll be out there by themselves. There's a lot of people out there though. If you want to go see, 2,000 people, they'll be there.
Do we actually have a fee to run around the property? Or is this outside that scope typically?
Right now, there's just fees to rent ball fields by like the day rate, or like if they wanted lights on for practices or that kind of thing. So running around that perimeter, there's not a fee right now.
What I'm getting
associated-
at is we're just caught up in boilerplate language here, just to approve the event. We just,
Just to approve the event, yes.
Yeah, cross-country isn't a big spectator sport.
yeah, I'm not a runner. Couldn't tell. All right, motion is second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Burris,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. Item 6H, discussion, consideration, and possible action to authorize staff to solicit bids for COC 2401, Lake Chickasha dilapidated dock abatement.
Make a motion that we authorize the staff to solicit bids for COC-2401, Lake Chickasha dilapidated dock abatement.
Second.
Discussion?
Why are we going out for bids, rebid? Because this
I
did,
was gonna say, we've seen it before, haven't we?
yeah, we bid it, and it
Yeah,
was
so-
awarded to Washita Construction.
Yes, sir. So we had so much funds set aside. We had like 30,000 set aside. Washita was the cheapest bid at 46,000, and so they couldn't even do a portion of it to make it worth their time. So we just rebid it now to where, because originally we thought they were going to do all of it, and they couldn't do all of it because we didn't have enough money set aside. So now we're revisiting it, and now we have appropriate funds allocated for it to rebid it. And then Washita, if they would like, can rebid it as well. So
I was trying to follow that. Is it 3 docks?
there are 13
You
docks.
say they're listed right here.
What I saw that listing, but I didn't know that, I've been out there a lot, and I had never seen that many docks out there, so.
They're probably under the water.
Yeah.
So we're just going out for bid, right? Just soliciting bids, and then we'll get.
Soliciting bids, and then you'll approve the winner. That's the one where never mind, we won't talk about that. But yeah, the Washita was the one that was awarded it last time.
Question. Spencer, is it easy enough to say everything that's happening with the oval that was drawn around the map is on the east shore of Lake Chickasha and nothing on the west,
The southeast side, yes, sir.
south, and east?
It's kind of like a little L, and then it's kind of up in that.
Would staff be aware, is there issues on the west side as well? Or have they been taken care of a long time ago?
There's no docks over there,
Okay,
and
thank
really,
you.
we discourage people. People still go over there, but they're not really encouraged to go over there. It's supposed to
Thank
be
you.
more private.
Good. Roll call, please.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Burris,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. Item 6I, discussion, consideration, of possible action to authorize Bible Baptist Church and Freeway Ministries to conduct a free community event on August 3rd, 2024, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., and waive all associated fees.
Move we authorize Bible Baptist Church and Freeway Ministries to conduct a free community event on August 3rd, 2024, from 5 PM to 7 PM and waive all associated fees.
Second.
Discussion?
Would we know what those fees are?
It'd be the rental fee for the amphitheater. I don't remember how much that is. How much is the rental of the amphitheater? You remember?
In the bathhouse?
In the
Restrooms
bathhouse.
only.
Restrooms, right?
How much fees are we waiving? What are we losing here?
Right. So it rents for $30 an hour.
So
I
$60 bucks.
Yeah. It's up to you guys. I mean, this gets pretty sticky once you start giving things away. But yeah, but they asked for it to be given to them. So that's up to you guys if you want to waive those fees.
It's not a total rental of the park, it's just portions, is that correct?
Yeah, to rent a facility.
Some parking,
Right.
thank you.
Yeah, people
Right.
just use the park as they see fit.
It-
if they wanna go
It
around.
sounds like, I think they mentioned that they had done it a couple years prior, and they wanted to do it again. So that's why it's on your agenda tonight. It's because they said they had it before, too, so, for free.
Thank you, Spencer. Roll call, please.
Smith,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Burris,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. I would like to recess the Chickasaw City Council meeting before we go into executive session and knock out the other two. Then we'll come back to council meeting.
I move to recess.
Thank you.
Second.
Roll call.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Burris,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. All right. I'd like to call the Chickasaw Municipal Authority to order, please. Roll call.
Nelson,
Here.
Hebblethwaite,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Alexander,
Here.
Burris,
Here.
Gertis,
Here.
Grayson.
Here. Item 2, consent docket.
I move we accept the consent docket as presented.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Burris,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. Item 4A, discussion, consideration, of possible action to approve Master Professional Services Agreement Amendment Number 1 with Freeze and Nichols to authorize the trust manager, city manager, and chairman to execute the same.
Make a move that we approve Master Professional Services Agreement, Amendment Number 1 with Freeze and Nichols, and authorize the trust manager / city manager and chairman to execute the same.
Second.
Discussion?
It just decreased our contract by $500, didn't it? Is that what it ended up doing?
I believe so. Keith, you have any?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
It looks like it just decreased our contract amount by $500. Is that the amendment number
Basically.
1? That's what John's asking.
This increases the
Increases?
Yeah.
Increased
By
it by
$500.
5.2 million.
5.2 million.
Correct. This is after discussions with Freeze Nichols that staff has agreed to making these changes or supported these changes, this amendment.
This is all budgeted
Yes.
expenses, right,
Yeah.
for the water treatment plant. Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Smith,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Burris,
Yes.
Gertis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. Item 4B, discussion, consideration, of possible action to approve Master Professional Service Agreement Task Authorization Number 3 with Freeze and Nichols, authorize the trust city manager and chairman to execute the same.
Move to approve master professional services agreement, task authorization number 3 with Freeze and Nichols, and authorize the trust manager / city manager and chairman to execute the same.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Alexander,
Yes.
Burris,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. Item 5, motion for adjournment.
So moved?
Second.
We're adjourned. I'd like to call the Chickasha Municipal Airport Authority to order. Need a roll call, please.
Nelson,
Here.
Hebblethwaite,
Here.
Smith,
Yeah.
Alexander,
Here.
Burris,
Here.
Curtis,
Here.
Grayson.
Here. Item 2, consent docket.
Move we accept the consent docket as presented.
Second?
Discussion. Roll call.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Burris,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. Item 4A, discussion, consideration, of possible action to approve change order number 1 for the CAA 2301 rehabilitate runway 18-36 and taxiways for a reduction of $505.53.
That's the one I was talking about.
That's it.
Make a motion that we approve change order number 1 for CAA-2301, rehabilitate runway 18/36 and taxiways for a reduction of $505.53.
Second.
So often you get to see a reduction. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Smith,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Burris,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. Item 5, motion for adjournment.
So moved?
Second.
We're adjourned. I would like to reconvene the Chickasha City Council meeting. I need a roll call.
Nelson,
Here.
Hebblethwaite,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Alexander,
Here.
Burris,
Here.
Curtis,
Here.
Grayson.
Here. Item 7A, discuss consideration of possible action enter into executive session to discuss negotiations concerning employee and representatives of employee groups under provisions 25 OS Section 307B2. The purpose of the proposed executive session is to discuss the possible adoption of memorandum of understanding addressing confidential employee matters between the City of Chickasha and the IAFF Local 2041 and the City of Chickasha FOP Lodge 129. Item, that's what. Item 7B, discussion and consideration of possible action to approve to reconvene open session and take appropriate action in matter discussed in executive session.
I make a motion that we go in executive session.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Burris,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. Motions?
I move to authorize a memorandum of understanding with the International Association of Firefighters, local number 2041, to extend the collective bargaining agreement fiscal year 2023-2024 until a new collective bargaining agreement is reached.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Burris,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. Do we have any other motions coming in?
I move to authorize a memorandum of understanding with the Fraternal Order of Police, Lodge Number 129, to extend the collective bargaining agreement fiscal year 2023-2024 until a new collective bargaining agreement is reached.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Nelson,
Yes.
Hebblethwaite,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Alexander,
Yes.
Burris,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Grayson.
Yes. Item number 8, motion for adjournment.
So moved?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.